Well, Harry had an awful lot of interesting experiences, but he wanted to learn how to shoot a gun. Well, he asked one of his guide friends to come over. He brought over an old rusted-out squirrel gun, 22 with a couple of rounds of ammunition, and he said, "Harry, you see them tracks in the dust at your feet?" Harry said, "Yes." He said, "Them is rabbit tracks, and at the end of them is your breakfast." Well, Harry said, "I thought you were going to give me a lesson in how to shoot a gun." Well, he said, "Experience is the best teacher, Harry. Now go to it." So Harry struck off in the woods, and he hadn't gone more than 100 yards before he come to the side of a tree where there was a terrible goblin and a cackling, and there were 12 wild turkeys clinging on to one branch of a tree. Well, he fired at the base of that branch, split it in two. The turkey's legs fell in between. The branch snapped back together again and held them turkeys fast. Well, Harry just tore that branch right off the side of the tree and put it over his shoulder and struck off in the woods, following them rabbit tracks. 12 turkeys richer. Well, he got to a point where he heard a terrible roaring sound, and there was a wild bear coming up after him. He heard a screeching and a yowling, and there was a mountain lion coming down after him. Well, he decided to take the bear on first. He stood his ground, and the bear come at him with his mouth wide open. Harry stuck his hand inside the bear's mouth, through and out the other side, grabbed a hold of his tail, gave a yank, and pulled that bear right inside out. Of course, that bear kept going, but it was in the other direction. Well, now, just that moment, the mountain lion was almost on him, and there was a terrible howling sound, and it was a pack of wolves closing in on the two of them. That's exactly the way it sounded to Harry. Well, Harry looked at the mountain lion looked at him, and they figured that whatever their differences was, they'd take the wolves on first. Well, there was a great, tremendous battle in the woods, and inside 10 minutes all them wolves was killed. Harry looked at the mountain lion, and the mountain lion looked at him, and they figured that whatever their differences was, there was no more. So the mountain lion turned on his heels and walked back up on the hill, and Harry turned on his heels, walked down the hill, following them rabbit tracks. Well, he hadn't gone more than another 100 yards before he come to the side of a stream, and he was about to ford that stream when he spied a fox about 5 yards away. And he spied a viper off to his left, 5 yards away. Well, sir, Harry was sore tempted to fire at the fox and fire at the viper, but he heard a terrible howling sound overhead. It was something like that. It was a loon heading south. I heard a quacking sound, and it was 12 ducks heading north. Well, he was sore tempted to fire anywhere in the area to brought down a good dozen birds, but he decided to take the fox and the viper on first. Well, he drew a bead first at the viper, and he squeezed off the last round, and the gun exploded in his face. The butt of the gun flew north and knocked down the loon. The barrel of the gun flew south and skewered all 12 ducks. The bullet sped true to its mark, struck a rock, and split it in two. One side of the rock killing the fox, the other side killing the viper. And the kick of the explosion was such as to knock him into the stream behind, and when he come to, his right hand was on an otter's head, his left hand was on a beaver's tail, and his trouser pockets were so full of trout that a button popped off his fly and killed the rabbit